huomenta, good morning, and the same thing in all the languages around the Baltic Sea area. The role I have been given here is to be simple businessman, which comes naturally. It's easy to provide a simple solution, which is slightly more difficult. The title of the presentation is Green Growth by Breaking the Food Chain. Actually, we could say make it by break it. And the point is to show that the old thing we all know becomes a new thing once we take a different point of view. Baltic Sea is about water. I will start with water. So we don't realize it ourselves here in the Nordic countries, but there is the water crisis with massive effects already. UN estimates that 2/3 of the world population suffers from the water shortage in 2025. Already we know right now that in the Mediterranean countries, like in Spain, they don't have enough water for the agriculture. And, like Carl-Henrik pointed out in his presentation, this phenomenon is not going away. It's getting worse. And we don't realize what is the water footprint that we individually are causing. First point is that only 1% of the water in the world is drinkable. And 70% of the fresh water already is used for irrigation in agriculture. So 70% of the fresh water is used to food production. We are 7 billion people today. We will be 9 billion in 40 years. The consumption of food is increasing. And when we are using 70% of the water right now for the agriculture, it's quite natural we can't plan of doubling the irrigation. It's not possible. We have to do something which is more clever. And Finns, we think that everything is fine here, but as a matter of fact, the average daily footprint each of us are causing is 4,700 liters per day. And even more surprisingly, over 40% of this footprint is caused because of the imported food. So when they are growing oranges in Spain, first of all, there is a huge footprint, and secondly, the environmental cost is transported. Of course, Spain is very happy to take it, at least for the time being. And there is a lot of talk about climate change. And the word used to be global warming, but the last 2 winters in Finland have made more and more people dubious about the phenomenon. But everybody has realized, in Turku region at least, that the climate is changing. 2 snow winters in a row is not normal. And the water hits us before the carbon does. And this is showing water footprints of different food products. And 1 cup of coffee, actually I'm not sure if there is a bean here. There is, so 140 liters. Glass of, liter of milk, 1,000 liters of water. 1 kilo of barley, 1.3 tons of water. 1 kilo of rice, 3.4 tons of water. So the food chain is using massively water. And the big difference here is that if the water is so-called green water, and the water which is coming from rain, which is not coming from the irrigation. So basically, there is no issue. If irrigation is needed, for example, to produce barley, there is an issue. So this is a big thing. If the green water is sufficient to produce the crops, then basically you don't have an issue. But if you need to have the blue water, this irrigation, then you're using the resources totally differently. The other big phenomenon here is that, as you can see, there is a big difference between what is plant-based and what is animal-based. So our diet has a major impact on the footprint that we are causing. I like the word superpower in the context of Nordic countries. We haven't been in that position in the last 400 years. But Finland and other Scandinavian countries, we are the superpowers of water. We have a lot of water here. And we should have the water also in the future. There is enough rainwater available for cultivation, so no irrigation is needed, which means it's more sustainable. And when we know that the new wealth, the new middle class in Asia, for example, they are changing their diet, they want to consume milk, they want to consume meat, and so on. So surprisingly, also Finland and other Scandinavian countries are the good potential producers for water-intensive products. Yes, it does not solve the problem of transportation of environmental impact, but it does solve the issue of the business potential of the food chain. And especially dairy and the meat products. You know, Scandinavian countries are the good places to produce milk. One cow requires 200 liters of water each day in the ecosystem. So from a business perspective, there is more demand in the world, there is less availability to produce. And this is the message when I'm speaking with the farmers. They're normally scared when somebody is raising the topic of environmental aspect. They think that it means that agriculture is impossible in the future. And what I'm explaining is that, as a matter of fact, if you are a Scandinavian farmer, you will be well off in 20 years' time. The totally different thing is what should be the diet of the people. I'm coming back to that afterwards. So I also liked very much in Karl-Henrik's presentation on the impact on the business. And actually, one very simple solution is that you need to be able to measure the environmental impact, which, by the way, is very difficult. And surprisingly, Raisio is the first company in the world that has been adding the carbon and water labels on a consumer product. And the big giants, they are alert. Immediately, Pepsi and Coke wanted to discuss with us on this labeling. And there is no international standard to do it. The reason is very simple. The big giants, they all want to count the agriculture out. Like in a cola bottle, the majority of the water footprint is caused by sugar. But they like to call sugar ingredient, and ingredient is not taken into account when they are calculating the water consumption. Of course, it makes the figures look more nice. The same thing is that when a carbon footprint is calculated, so agriculture is counted out. Again, it's like 80% of the total footprint, calculating the agriculture part is very, very tricky. We know it by our experience. But actually the reason why in these committees for the standardization, they like to count it out. The reason is that when you are sourcing soy from Brazil, the cost is very cheap. And as long as the environmental cost is not disclosed, so the cost of converting a rainforest into soy field, if you don't count that impact, basically it means that the cost the giants are paying is very low, and at the same time the environmental cost is hidden. And you know, the consumers would like to know the truth, but this is the dilemma. The agriculture plays a big role, and the environmental cost of the agriculture can be transported to third world countries who are very happy about the business opportunity of exporting foodstuff. But you need to be able to measure. Once you're able to measure, you're able to calculate the cost, and when you're able to calculate the cost, the money is in. And once the money is in, either there is the business opportunity or there is the opportunity to tax. And both money, profit, and tax are very, very powerful business drivers. This is the reason we like to tell the truth. We think each food product should be labeled, which is environmental impact. And then the consumers make the decision if they like barley, which is, you know, has been cultivated in the neighborhood, or if they want to eat rice that has been transported around the world, or if they really fancy the pork, or would they, you know, like to have a salad instead. Measuring, we think, is key. So the other topic is bioeconomy, which is becoming the new buzzword in the world. So we all know that bioeconomy is the new trend, is the new business opportunity. And I say that bioeconomy in the nutshell is CCC. And I'll explain what is the CCC afterwards. I'm a patient person. Bloody hell. Okay. You know, in Finland we have this thing called management by perkele. I just showed an example that it works in practice. So Alf, maybe this is something new for you, for your presentations. Okay, I started in Raisio 4 years ago, and the first comment I made was that food is a growth business, which was very extremist comment at the time. But you know, quite simply, I'm born 62. We were like 3 billion people at the time. Now we are roughly 7 billion people, and when my kids will be the same age I am now, there will be 9 billion people in the world. At the same time, the arable land area per person is diminishing. And when you take into account that actually there's food production, maybe we should call the demand for food is estimated to more than double in the next 40 years.